And on today's episode, you're thinking of maybe being an entrepreneur yourself, but it is a minefield. Where do you go? Where do you start? Have you thought about being a franchisee? And today's guest is Eric, and he is just that. And what an amazing story he has got. Hello, Eric. Welcome.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Before we start getting into the franchisee that you chose, the franchise that you chose, where did you start? What was your background?
Well, from leaving school, I was an apprentice motor mechanic. Didn't really like it. Did the apprenticeship, and then I got a job in a bakery. The bakery was seasonal, so we worked till the summer, and then we travelled the world basically, backpacking and stuff. Did that for about 3 years, and then the bakery decided to keep me on, so I spoilt it a bit, but I had to do a bit more work. So I built myself up from being on the plant to, well, in the end I was a bakery manager. I managed the bakery.
But you decided, obviously, you wanted something a little bit different in life. What was that spark? What made you think there's got to be more to it than baking?
Well, at some point I'm thinking, everyone else is creaming off the profit, I'm doing most of the work. Maybe it's the time to try and do something for myself.
Do you think, though, that actually having that sort of level of management and working up in a business actually maybe some way did sort of help you to sort of think, do you know what, there's more to me than just being in baking?
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. It gave me the tools, some of the tools I needed to do what I was doing. Although, one of the reasons why I went for a franchise is I probably needed a bit more help.
And that's the good thing about it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's because, with a franchise, you have got like a model set there, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so that helped you a bit. But even still, it is a bit of a daunting task, isn't it, going from being employed to almost being self-employed. How did you finance it?
Oh, God, it was a massive gamble, really. I discussed it with my wife and everything, and she was a bit iffy, but she went for it in the end. But we actually remortgaged our house. Well, we actually downsized the house, moved to a bit of a rougher area, a bit of a smaller house, and used the equity to start a business.
That's a brave, bold move, that one.
Yeah, but it works, After 3 years, we could move out of that house. We sold it at a profit and moved into a better house.
So obviously then you thought, well, franchise, that's the way to go. Because like you say, it's got the tools there ready. But how did you choose Total Clean, which is the one you do?
Well, I went to a few franchise exhibitions. Total Clean wasn't there, actually. So I kept looking around, kept putting franchises on the website. And then I think eventually Total Clean came up. I can't remember if I gave them a ring or they rang me for some reason. But I spoke to a lady called Fiona at the time. I don't think she's not there now. And everything she said just made sense. And it was very agreeable, they was going to wait for me to sell my house, etc. Just put a small deposit down, we'll wait for you. You can have that area that we wanted, which was the Manchester area. And they did wait, and eventually we got going.
So obviously you'd been to these exhibitions, and obviously you'd seen lots of different franchise options.
Yeah.
So what made you go into the cleaning field? What was it that drew you into that?
Well, I didn't think I needed as many skills, because I knew, at the start off, you're going to have to get your hands a bit dirty as well on this one. So I knew in the bakery, cleaning is, part of it anyway.
Yeah.
So I was confident I could get started on a cleaning franchise.
And with cleaning, you've just said there that you thought that there wasn't maybe so many skills needed, but I bet as you've gone along, that probably attitude has changed a bit.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, there's the minor skills, anyone can wipe a table, but there's machines that you have to learn to use. That's just on the operational side. But the business side is there's lots of skills you need to, things that I wasn't doing in the bakery, accounts and etc. Marketing, it was a bit of a minefield, but we did get a lot of help on the way because of the franchisers again.
So you've gone along this franchise route, and I would imagine when you first started, just how daunting was it, but how good were the franchisors who helped you?
Oh, it was very helpful. On very first job, they came down and helped me, secured a job basically. We started off with a deep clean. I know Carlos brought some of these guys down from London because I didn't have any staff and to help me, and they went out of the way to help me. So it was.
And you went down the professional sort of commercial cleaning route, didn't you,
Yeah.
rather than the domestic route?
Yeah, I think commercial is a lot more manageable. The domestic side, it's hard to plan, I thought. So with me, it would just commercial would have just sounded better. You get a longer contract, you don't have to keep going for the work.
How quickly did it take pace? Because obviously there you mentioned your wife, and I think there you've got the regular employed job, steady income coming in, and then all of a sudden you're in this new field, new job, and you think, how quickly did it progress, or was it a gradual, organic progression?
Well, it's gradual, but I was quite lucky really, because the employer that I was with at the moment didn't want me to leave, so we agreed that I'd stay on but still do the cleaning franchise, which I could do. So I went in the morning, did the cleaning franchise, and in the evening and in the middle I went into the bakery and ran the bakery. So I did 2 jobs, if you like, until I got so many contracts after that I had to pack the bakery in. My wife still worked, so it wasn't, we still had something to fall back on. And we'd already costed some, money to put aside just in case we didn't get any jobs. Luckily, we did get a job quite quickly. And then after that, I think we got our first 3 jobs within a month, so which was pretty good, seeing as we've never sold cleaning before. So we started off like that, and then it just gradually building up.
That's quite amazing, because it does take a bit of resilience to go from that leap from employment to, to being self-employed. And, everybody has their bad days, but how do you cope with the bad days? Because not every client can be a good client, and some are a little bit worse than others, let's be honest. How do you actually deal with that?
Try and keep calm, basically. I always think, what's the worst can happen? They could finish the contract, but it won't be the end of the world.
No. Have you ever had ones that are really quite memorable? Where you've gone in and you've been, that this is a big job, or have you ever had one where you think that was really rewarding to do for somebody?
Yeah, rewarding wise, we worked through COVID with the fogging places, and some doctor's surgeries and, things like that. So that was quite rewarding.
And have they kept you on after that? Because obviously the thing is that a lot of people were used during the COVID, and then, it ended. And then some businesses have done still quite right. They've still kept the contract on, and others haven't,
Yeah, well, the COVID and the fogging was like one-off cleans mostly, but we do a lot of medical practices anyway. So we stayed in the medical practices through COVID, but they did add on the fogging, which is a bonus. Not so much now. People don't think they need it now, which really I think they do. But
so when did you start? Was it about 10 years ago, I understand, that you started Total Clean?
I think the first phone call we got was in 2013. That's when I decided I was going to do it. But I did explain I can't start until I sell my house. And I think I sold my house in 2014. That's when we started in earnest. I think May 2014, when we got our first contract.
And how have things changed from that day? Can you sort of remember that day, and then here you are now?
Yeah.
How have things changed? Do you have a team of people behind you now, or how does it work?
Well, we have an operations manager now who does most of the work, to be fair. I'm working more on selling the business, getting the business in, that kind of thing. We have a couple of mobile supervisors who bob around in the vans, checking, putting products back into the offices and stuff.
And how's your own personal lifestyle changed? Because I think that's the thing. It maybe have been a bit difficult, a bit gritty at the beginning, but how's things sort of eased now? Chalk and cheese.
It's when we started, I was I think it was getting up at 5 a.m. and coming home at 8 at night. It was, you got a bit of time off in the middle.
Just a bit.
Well, there was nothing to do because you didn't have many contracts in the middle, but the contracts would be starting in the morning. You'd have to clean them yourself or with a cleaner. We did get cleaners in, actually, straight off, but sometimes it was hard to get cleaners in. Eventually, the more cleaners you got in, they knew cleaners, and it wasn't a problem then.
Just in regards to the franchise, do you get ongoing support as you go along, or is it a case now because you know what you're doing, that's sort of it, or how does it, do they still help you basically along the way?
Yeah, they still help it when I ask. They don't really need it as much now, but when we started it was invaluable. There was things that you find simple now that at the time, what we're going to do now, that sort of thing.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Because obviously it's all very new at the beginning, and now you're there, you're helping sort of more people, you're growing your business. And, what are the obstacles? You've grown it to such a size now, but what are some of the obstacles that you find that you face in being self-employed?
Well, everyone will tell you being self-employed, if you don't work, you don't get paid, do you? So that's the main one. But with the franchise I've got at the moment, all our contracts are like, we think we do 90-day contracts. Most of our contracts we've had for years, so you've always got the business there. It's not like you do a job in a house and you leave it, and then you're not going to go back there next week because the job's done. But with cleaning, it's constant.
I mean, I always think that being self-employed as well, we are the backbone of Britain. Put bluntly. And, businesses, I don't think they always get the support from the government that they should.
No.
Do you think that maybe the government needs to now move and look at franchise models as a good way of getting people into business who probably aren't suited for just general employment, but would be more suited for self-employment?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. The government are always going on about training and things like that. Well, franchise is like that, really. You're training to do the business. After a while, you probably don't need the franchise, but it's part of the plan, part of the contracts, and that's what you've got.
And maybe some money thrown that way, grants maybe to help. Do you think that could be a way forward to help?
I definitely think that, yeah. Rather than they throw grants at training, like I'm saying, they should be able to throw grants at franchising as well.
Now, when you start business, as I know, there are a lot of negative ninnies about, isn't there? People like, oh, should you be doing this? And, what are some of the myths that you've come across when people say, oh, it's a franchise, oh, it must be doing this and that and the other? Yeah,
well, myths is controlling and stuff like that. Franchise, because you control, you can't do anything you want and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a myth. Not all of it, because some of it, there has to be some control. But things like sales and stuff like that, that's down to you. It's not all about the franchise. If you want to grow the business, it's down to you.
I think the thing is that we live in a culture now where everything has to be done like now. It's especially with social media and everything else. Everything's now. And would you say to people that they have to still grind There's still work to be done when you've got a franchise or any other
Definitely,
business.
yeah. It's like any business, you know, you've got to work. If you don't put the hours in, you won't get the rewards.
What do you think the main characteristics you need to be successful with a franchise?
I think you need to be resilient, definitely. You need to listen sometimes when you... And sometimes bite your lip.
Do you reckon that's in any business, though?
Yeah, true.
You know, what's the most rewarding parts, though? Do you know, do you wish you'd started it earlier? Or?
Yeah, I always say that. Maybe I should have started it 10 years earlier. People were saying I was mad at the time to be starting a business when I was about 52. So starting a business when you're 52, you know, putting your house, remortgaging your house, you're crazy. All my friends were saying the same thing.
But I think now, though, with the thing is that I can see that retirement, the age is getting older and older. So would you encourage now people who are in their 50s, hey, there's new opportunities, you're never too old? No,
you're never too old, it works for me. I mean, the place I'm at now is in life is great, you know. There's got a nice house, nice car, go on holidays, you know, 2-3 times a year. It's
and like you said earlier, the thing is that you're making income for yourself. You do have that control. Even though it is a franchise, you know, you have that control over it, don't you?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
And with regards to the actual franchisor, what would you say if anybody's there maybe thinking, oh, cleaning? I actually quite like a bit of cleaning. I think this could be the one for me. How good have they been?
They've been really good, yeah, to me. I mean, you know, we've had our ups and downs, but like anyone in business, you do have. But they've always been supportive. It's always worked for me, yeah.
Now, a little bit about you privately. Let's have a bit of a delve. You know, is there anything that does keep you awake at night?
Not these days, no.
So you go off like at the London odds.
Yeah.
It's not. But I suppose, though, with the franchise, is that if you did have that problem or that nagging thought, you could go to a franchisor and wake them up and say, right, I've got a little bit of an issue. Help.
Well, yeah, there's that. I mean, with the franchise, so there comes a bit of benefits. Like we have an HR now that we never had it when we started, but we got it now. That's pretty good. Any issues with HR, you can phone them. They'll, you know, write you a letter up or anything you need, which is sometimes a bit daunting when you start out.
And staff. I know that staff, I think from the majority of businesses that I've spoken to now, staff can be the maker or the breaker. How do you find good staff yourself? What qualities do you look for?
Well, experience is the main one. We always interview people. We ask them about the backgrounds and stuff. But you know, I think we've got about 120 working for us now, and it's
wow.
It's keeping your eye on the ball, really. And
that's where teamwork makes the dream work, I suppose.
Yeah. So I've got, like I say, I've got operations manager who does a really good job. It's not like it was when we started, where it was all on me, and I was working, you know, from getting up in the morning 5 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night. I can sort of sit back a bit now and give a bit of it away. I think that's one of the hardest things is delegating it at the start.
I was going to say, because it is a bit like there's your baby, and now you're giving control to somebody else. That must be really difficult.
Yeah, but you have to. In the end, you just kill yourself if you don't.
You'd burn out, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So let's think about now. There you were, 16, and you were going back to being the motor mechanic. You know, what advice would you give yourself back then to where you are now, so that you weren't fretting as much?
That's an horrible question, that. I think I'd say, you know, what would I say? I actually got asked this question.
Is it, don't worry, don't fret?
Yeah. Well, I'd say it's be yourself, you know. Don't worry too much about what other people think. Just be yourself.
And you're going to get another awkward question now. If you were PM for the day and you could change one thing, what would you do? What would be your first change?
National insurance hike.
Yeah, I am well in agreement. It was a bit mean, that one, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Bit below the belt.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really help business, does it?
I don't think so, no. So I think some of these decisions they make, even the rise in the minimum wage, you know, it all gets passed down the line eventually.
Yeah, the pensions that's got to be paid, the maternity leaves, paternity leaves. I mean, it's never ending,
so in the end of the day, it all goes down to the supermarkets, and the supermarkets put their prices up, and you're no better off half the time. So I don't know. I think the only one better off is the government with the taxes.
Well, Eric, it's been an absolute delight to have you here. And, you know, if anybody, I think, is thinking of starting a business and finding, you know, that they might find it a bit daunting, they should give being a franchisee a go.
Yeah, definitely. I think they should. Yeah. Like I say, with a franchise, they've made all the mistakes when they've been starting the business. So all the mistakes that you would make, they've seen them, and they'll put you right before you make them. So I think that's a great way to start a business. Yeah. Absolutely.
So if you want more details, go and check out Total Clean, because I know that I actually do have some friends who are clean freaks. A lot of them do maybe more domestic cleaning, but there is a lucrative market, I believe, in commercial cleaning. Anyway, thank you very much, Eric.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure to talk to you today.
You too.